Welcome back to Trim Bites. I'm your host, Johan. I'm an IT professional and technologist of about 30 years, and my mission here is to try to bring some of that knowledge to the world, so hang on tight. Today on Trim Bites, I want to talk about something near and dear to my heart, and that's my home network. As someone who's in the business, I like to keep my home network up to snuff and able to support any of the needs I might have, testing, and of course the needs of the family and my home. As I said in my last video, I'm getting ready to evaluate and maybe upgrade this network, but here it is before I do that. This is a little tour I put together of my home setup. Hope you enjoy it. Please let me know if you have any suggestions on how to improve it. So without further ado, let's get into it. So as you can see here, thanks to the lovely folks at Draw.io, which is an awesome tool, by the way, and it lets you do, I would say, Visio or OmniGraffle-like activities in the cloud. Gives you the ability to, draw little drawings like this one. So, first and foremost, I have 3 ISPs. You only see 2 depicted here, but let me explain that. So first of all, I have Spectrum 1 gig fiber, which is the highest level of fiber they currently sell here in Central Texas. And I say POS Spectrum device, and that's truly the case. It does have a 2.5 gig Ethernet port on the back, but it's a piece of junk. But it works, and it's consistently between 9 and 950 in terms of bandwidth, so it's good. And then I have a T-Mobile 5G LTE connection that comes to me through a Cradlepoint device that's sitting on the outside of my house. But I also have, which I don't put in here because I'm taking it out, a first-gen Starlink motorized dish. And then, as I talked about in the previous video, I've got a Netgate 4100 base, which is running pfSense Plus, and give a little tour of that at some point later. But it's great. Dual WAN ports, can either be SFP or 1 gig copper. Has amazing amounts of capabilities. You do have to know how to set it up. I would just say that. And it is the core of this whole network. It runs DHCP for 3 subnets. Dynamic DNS lets encrypt. There's also Snort running on there. I run NTOP NG, which is freaking awesome. If you haven't seen it, you really need to. And then kind of going down from there, I came from a big social media company back in the early 2000s, and we were all about lags. So you'll see these little ovals are lags that I have going on between the different devices. So I've got a 2-link LACP lag from the firewall down to my main Aruba switch, and a 2-lag LACP lag going down to my Cisco 9300 switch, which is right here. And then from there, the home stuff, the consumer-ish stuff, the stuff we use to stream movies and so forth and so on, is all connected to this Aruba 9300F or 6300F switch. And it's great. Only problem is right now I'm out of ports on it, which I might have mentioned before. So I do have 3 Aruba 515 access points, and a 300 series access point, which is my backup. They're all PoE Plus. They're all connected to this switch. And then 4 Hikvision cameras. And yes, before you tell me that they're dangerous, yes, I know they're not allowed to leave the network. They can only talk to their surveillance partner, which I'll talk about in a minute. But so I also have these 2 Synology DS918 Plus that are getting pretty old. And the point of this video is that this stuff's getting old and we're going to upgrade it. And so this tour is just a pre-upgrade tour of all the stuff I want to upgrade. So these I'm a bugger for HA. As you see, everything's got pretty much 2 links except for the Aruba devices, which actually have two plugs in the back. I could give them N+1 links, but I have these Synology NAS set up with rsync between them. They each have four TB drives, so there's a total of 8 4 TB drives here, and then they rsync to each other every night. Every night, middle of the night, they rsync any changes back and forth. So if I lose one, who cares? I do have them set up today as this second one is the surveillance station that serves these cameras and 3 other cameras that are not on this map. And then this guy is my virtualization station because I've upgraded the cache, I upgraded the RAM to 16 gigs, and so on and so forth. So I just noticed the other day, I was talking about, I talked about my firewall being out of date, but I was also noticing that the DS918 Plus are, the drives in here are 4 years old, and I just didn't think about it. Time just got away from me. So I think it's time to do something about it. So on the other side here, I want to talk about the lab too. So hooked up to my Cisco 9300 switch is a Cisco ISR 1100, which connects to a vManage fabric that I use in my lab, and then I also have a Meraki MX75 appliance, both of which have their own little subnets behind them and have some lab equipment and some other goodies. And then I have the last thing I might mention is on the 918 Plus. This one, I have a couple of VMs running that I use for lab and demo work. So there's some internet traffic coming from here, going up to the net, and vice versa. So that is pretty much the nickel tour. A few things I should also point out, and I'll click through some of these interfaces here. I did say in my last video that my firewall is end of life. That's actually not true. It's actually, somebody told me in the comments, and they're right. It's end of sale, but not end of support. And I talked to a representative at Netgate, and he confirmed there's no plan to stop supporting the 4100, but they do have a replacement for it. So this firewall will be around for quite some time. That doesn't mean I'm not going to probably upgrade it, because I think I am. The other thing I would mention is that the reason for doing this is I run a lot on my Synology NAS, and I run Plex. I have a veritable cornucopia of content that I have running through Plex, and I also run Surveillance Station and VM Manager and some other packages you can see here, and there's the camera set up with some beautiful views and so forth. But I noticed part of why I started to take notice of this is that I was starting to get some weird CPU spikes, and Plex was kind of acting strange, and I was getting some beach balls of death and so on and so forth. And I have it, have Plex going to 6 TVs in the house and on the back porch and so on and so forth. So I just decided to do that. The other thing I'm going to do is I also run Home Assistant, and one of the other things that's been running a little strange on my network has been my old Insteon hardware. And as some may or may not know, Insteon went belly up a couple years ago, and then came back. Group of investors basically bought it out and brought it back. But I would rather not pay for that service, so I'm going to go get a more fleshed out version of Home Assistant, which I have running on a little Raspberry Pi 4 right over there, and build that up as part of this whole build. And so that should be interesting. And then, sort of last but not least, I do run Aruba Instant AP here, and I'm going to probably look at upgrading some of these devices as well. And in fact, between the last video and the one that I just made, one of my 500 series access points crapped out on me, and I had to put the 300 series back in place. But the first thing I'm going to do in the next video is come up with a plan to eliminate at least one of my NAS. In fact, I've already pulled one out of service. I'm going to sell one. and I'm thinking about a bunch of different options. But as soon as I have the replacement NAS for the one I'm selling on eBay, I'm going to do an unboxing and startup video and install the RAM and buy new drives, and we'll go through all that. But anyway, so that's it for right at the moment. Thanks for coming along for the ride, and I hope to have some more interesting stuff to show you guys sooner rather than later. So thanks for coming to Trim Bites, and we appreciate you, and we'll see you next time.